just tell you about one of our most exciting vendors. NAFECO's got over 2,500 vendors to serve you, but one of the most exciting ones we have is Miss Connie Sylvester, who is the owner and inventor of the ARM-LOC. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Miss Connie Sylvester.
Hi everyone. First of all, thank you for inviting me. I came all the way from Duluth, Minnesota to come down here. And NAFECO, thank you for inviting me. I'm super excited to be working with you guys. And by the way, thank you for your service. So thanks for keeping everyone in your community safe. The reason I do my job is because a friend of mine fell off a boat in the Bering Sea. He wasn't unable to hold on to the rope and they lost him at sea. So they actually lost his life. And I was telling the captain of his boat, a friend of ours, that my brother had this idea over 30 years ago but never did anything with it. And I told him about it. And he said, wow, that's amazing. If I would have had anything like that on my boat, I wouldn't have lost my best friend. So I went ahead and I took this project over and I developed the ARM-LOC by traveling around the entire country and doing what God gave me, 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So I sat and I listened. I listened to all of you, your ideas, and I put a bunch of failed projects into one project, all right? And this is what we came up with, the ARM-LOC. I package it just like this. You can package it however you want, but this is just sensible. We sell it to sheriff's departments, fire departments, rescue squads. You take it, and it comes in a throw bag just like this. Drop it, and then you toss it out to the victim, and it will peel out of that bag. So I call it a throw bag on steroids. So it's actually better than a throw bag. So you know when you throw out your throw bag, what happens to the end of that line? Sinks, right? So unless you get them right on top of their head, that throw bag sinks. This one is inherently buoyant to itself. So 3 pounds buoyancy, so you can float this down a river or you can throw it out to your victim. Now this is in a situation where that victim is actually, let's just say on top of a car, you can't fix stupid. They're out there. I don't want you to endanger your life to go get them. In fact, they just trained in Houston Police Department because they lost one of their own last year because he waded out into the roadway and he got sucked under in a culvert and he died. So I just came back from there training them in. So we're gonna throw this out to them, or we're gonna drop it from a drone even. We're gonna tell that victim with our bullhorn, put this on your arm, pull the cord, and no matter what, throughout the rescue, we have a hold of them. All right, so who's the newest person here?
This chief right here, he's brand new.
With
Chief of Milledgeville right here.
All right, come on up.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief, coming up. Well, I'm gonna pick on a bunch of you, so don't even worry about it. You're not gonna be the only one. Okay, so thank you, Chief, nice to meet you. I usually pop it off right away, but so now we're gonna come out to him. So I'm the queen of ice rescue. I'm from Duluth, Minnesota. So we pull people out of the ice, they sit out there like this, or you're down off the boat and I want to get you back on the boat, or I swim out to you and I'm doing a rescue swim. I take his hand, I slide it on, I pop it off, and I got you. How do you feel?
It's cold.
Is it cold? I said I'm the ice princess. So this will actually make him float. So now feel how hard that is on his arm. Yeah, it's solid as a rock, okay? So now he's got 18 pounds of buoyancy. So we're all like 7 pounds in the water. So I can float and he can float. And you would float like this while I'm pulling you in. So you can lean on it or you can float like this. Now we're gonna take it off, all right? There you go, thank you so much. Wow, I like wow. Wows work for me. I love wows. All right, so now there's another example here. So we put that on his arm. So the next question in your mind is probably gonna be, well, how small does an ARM-LOC get? So I'm gonna show you a couple ways to do that. So how small does it get? It gets as small as a small little person, little girl, little baby, okay? So this is a spent cartridge. You never put that back in your bag because if I find them in there, I will shame you. I actually had to go to St. Paul Fire Department because they put them back in the bag and they said my product didn't work, and then I lined up 16 cartridges. That's why it didn't work. This is spent, this is not spent. Now we're gonna screw it back in and then I'm gonna show you my example. See this right here? There's an arm that goes into this actuator. You have to put the actuator in before you screw it in. If you don't, it'll spray CO2 all over your finger. So I'm gonna quickly just screw that back in. And then I'm gonna show you my example. Okay, So now this is the pretend little girl's arm, right? We put it in there. We pull the cord. Now try to get it out. And it is so smart that it actually will know how small to do it. So it's about displacing volume. Want to try that?
Connie, I bet Mitt Smith could pull it out.
I don't know. All right, so you can't get this out. And actually, the worst case scenario, you throw this out to somebody and they pull the cord without putting their arm in it, well then they get a big floaty ball to hold on to. So by far it beats the throw bag any day. So now we're gonna do one more fun thing. Who is the biggest troublemaker here? Come on up. Which one? This guy right here. Come on up here, sweetie. All right, so apparently you have been now voted the biggest troublemaker. I'm normally the biggest troublemaker, but I've been really good. All right, spent. What do we do with this? Throw it away. Good job. All right, not spent, verified. Put our arm back in. Screw the CO2 back in. Now say we have a combative person that we're trying to save, right? We always make sure, by the way, that we push all the air out because we want to increase the volume. So now, oh, you have a broken something. I can't pick on him. Go back home. All right, next troublemaker.
Hey, this.
I can't pick on him. He's got a broken arm. What do you guys mean?
That's why you're a troublemaker.
You weren't me. That's why you're a troublemaker. All right, so you're gonna put your arms in there, both of them, and then I got you. Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I'm Connie.
You ain't getting it out.
Oh, heck no. Absolutely not, are you? All right, so now we can use this as a soft restraint, and he'll still float. So if he goes flying off my boat, I'll still find him eventually. Right? Tight? Good? Good to go. All right, verified. Alrighty.
You just push that to deflate.
Yep, you just push the oral inflator to deflate it. Now, say I'm responding to an apartment building with 50 people on top of it. I took out the little kids, I took out the mom, the dad, but then you still got some people left. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on the arm. I built in an oral inflator just in case, so watch. 1, 2, boom, that's it, just two breaths. So you have a built-in secondary. It doesn't get as tight because that's really powerful. That's a lot of pressure going in there. Your lungs can't put that much pressure in there. But it will still make me float, and I'm gonna tell Dad, hey, why don't you hold on to this or hold on to this? I'm gonna pull you in, but it's better than nothing. And of course, they can still use their hands and they can aid in their own rescue. I do try to put it between here and here, but in an emergency and you're putting it on their arm, you're not gonna be able to time it, but you practice. You practice the handoff method because there's ways to do the handoff method correctly and there's ways not. So lastly, I'm just going to show you how to do the handoff method correctly. I'm not going to pop it back off on your arm. So I put it on my arm like this, closest to my heart, so that I always know where that yellow thing's going to be, because in a rescue scenario, you're going to be panicking. But if you practice that you always know where this is, I'm going to come out to you, I'm going to take his hand, and I'm going to slide it on his arm. Do you see how I did that, how fast? Okay, what hand am I going to let go to pull that cord? My left hand or my right hand? Left hand? Okay, if I do that, look what happened. That was wrong. Not totally wrong, but you know, we're going to do it a better way. We're going to do this. We're going to slide this on because look at, I can use this hand to do this. Then, oh, there went the cartridge. It finally came out. So then, and then I pull, and plus I'm defensive, so I'm pulling backwards, okay? So we don't want to do that, and then we also don't want, thank you, we don't want to put it on his arm this way, because if we do, I'm going to have trouble finding that. I like it here, and then plus, if I do this, I'm leaning towards him, and what is he going to do to me? He's going to dunk me. Well, I'm really tough. I don't think you can dunk me. So one last time, we keep it closest to our heart. We don't push it on him. We grab it, we wiggle it on, hold, pull, and protect. And that's it. The 18 pounds of buoyancy, 3 pounds of buoyancy to inherently buoyant on top of the water. Deadlifts 12 pounds. You can use 2 of them to float a body bag. There's lots of different options, but it's anytime you need to get a positive grip on a victim in distress, on land or in the water. So it doesn't matter if they're down a mountainside and you need to get a hold of them before they fall farther down, and someone can get down there and safely extract them. So this is about giving you extra time in your rescue and getting an extra grip on your victim. Does anyone have any questions? The cord, it comes packaged like this. You get the ARM-LOC, the carabiner, and 75 feet of rescue sterling floatable rescue line, 3/8 inch. You get the bag that comes with it as well, and then 12 of these cartridges. And then I sell the cartridges for $24 for a dozen. I don't charge very much for them. You can't just buy them anywhere. They're 3/8 inch threaded, so there's not the BB gun ones. And I don't sell them for much money because I want you to play with it, I want you to train with it, and I want you to show the sheriff in the next county or the fire department in the next city. So if I charge $8 for these, no one would ever play with it. But training is key to the ARM-LOC. It is so simple, but I want to watch you guys on TV someday go out and save someone and look like a rock star and pull them right in. And it's very easily done with this ARM-LOC product. Any other questions?
Do them cartridges have a shelf life?
You know what? I've asked Leland Gas. I get them from Leland Gas up in New Jersey. They say they don't expire. I don't believe that. I think everything expires. This expires after 10 years. You send it back to me, and then I'm going to verify the strength of the materials at that time, depending on the environment it's in. But she says they don't expire. But I say this: buy 12 a year, because then you're training with it. So get in there, blow this thing off, make sure everyone knows how to do the handoff method. So, but they say they don't expire.
You said hanging off the mountain. Y'all actually tested what weight it would hold?
It does. It will. We do not ever. Yeah, we do not recommend a high angle rescue, but a low angle rescue for sure. It is 1,200 pounds of tensile strength, and the weakest part that breaks on that is the buckle. So if you're lifting 1,200 pounds, you're in bigger trouble. Then you need more than an ARM-LOC. Any other questions?
You think about the confined space, like Connie said, anytime anybody needs help who's trapped, any rescue that needs to take place, just do the transfer. That's very simple. Very simple.
Well, even if you think you don't need it, put it on them anyway, because we just heard story after story after story. And we just had a story the other day down in Florida where somebody didn't, have a rope on their person, but they were pulling them in and they slipped away and they went under and they got sucked in the motor. You know what? Put an ARM-LOC on them. You think you have them? We had another gentleman in Cocoa Beach, the fire department with jet ski rescue, go out to save a little girl and her dad in a rip current, had them coming back in on the jet board, and a wave came and the dad let go of the little girl. That guy suffers from PTSD so badly that he came in just to speak with me personally, because he knows the ARM-LOC could have changed the outcome of that rescue by simply clicking this to his belt, clicking the little girl in there, and he would have been attached to that little girl and he would never have let her go because the ARM-LOC would have done it for him. So there are situations where I'm sure you guys are all out there with thousands of years total of rescue time. How could this have saved your rescue? How could this have made it easier? And how could it have kept you safer? That is my goal in life right now, is to save people with ARM-LOC, but also keep the rescuer safer, because this is why I designed it like this.
And one other quick thing, hands-free rescue for school shootings. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to look at that, but you clip it in, you've got it around you, hands-free, you can still defend yourself and bring a victim out. So.
Yep, it's a really good point. We actually did some research with RIT extractions. I actually was on the Discovery Channel, fireproof this, and we blew up the CO2 cartridges and everything, had a blast with it. But I also do work with SWAT teams, because that's exactly what they do, except for theirs is black. They don't want little sparkles on them. And they can do that. They can put the kid's arm in there and drag them out while they're still being defensive and walking around corners and being able to defend themselves and aid in their own rescue as well. So, it's endless on what the ARM-LOC can do. It's not going to be your perfect tool in every rescue, but it's going to be a tool in your toolbox that I hope that you guys can open your minds to. It's newer down here, but we've been selling it all over the country for the past 4 years. LAPD, Houston Port Authority, Panama City Fire Department, New Jersey, all over the state of Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin.